Good morning, everybody in Europe. Good afternoon, everybody in China. Welcome to the EU SME and EU SME Centre and IPR SME Helpdesk webinar series. Today, we are going to speak about how to find the right business partners in China and how to protect your company's assets in China. So we have quite a lot to cover, so let's move first to the technical part of our webinar. For those who are not experienced much with our platform, please note on your screen there is a small panel saying questions. If you have any questions during the webinar, please don't hesitate and send it to us. Either our colleagues in the office or the speakers will address the question either during the webinar or at the end with the Q&A session. I will first introduce both centers who are now co-organized this webinar. So I start with the EU SME Centre. EU SME Centre in Beijing is a project funded by the European Union. And our aim is to provide assistance to small and medium-sized companies from Europe who wish to invest in or export to China. We provide services free of charge, and our services consist of 4 areas. It is business development, legal and tax, standards and conformity, and HR and training. The way how we are helping SMEs is by providing information and advice in the form of the documentation, replying to the inquiries, most often via the email. So you send us an email and within 7 days you will receive the reply. Then we do trainings in China and Europe, and as well the webinars every Tuesday in this time between 4 and 5 o'clock European time. In addition to these information and advice services, we provide additional support services which consist of hot desking. So if it happens that you have a business trip to China, to Beijing, and you need to have meetings, you can use our meeting rooms in the EU SME Centre. We, in a limited way, do as well matchmaking and networking, and we have a very useful and popular databases. First, of the service providers database. So, for example, if you are looking for the law firm or the tax advisor, you can choose freely from the database. We have as well database of the exhibitions and international trades here in China. So this is about EU SME Centre. Now a few words and introduction on our sister project, very successful project, IPR SME Helpdesk. So for those of you who are not already familiar with this project, they are same as us, funded by the European Union, and its services are free. The Helpdesk provides jargon-free, first-line, confidential advice on intellectual property in China to European SMEs. The Helpdesk services include an inquiry helpline, which allows you to ask any IP-related question and receive a reply within 7 days. Then they, same as USME Center, they provide training events and webinars, which are held through the year across Europe and China. Helpdesk as well provides high-quality IP materials such as guides, newsletters, and case studies, catalog, which are all available for the downloading from the project websites. On these websites, you can as well find interactive e-learning modules and a news section and information on the upcoming events. So this is about the introduction of USME Center and IPR SME Helpdesk. And then now we will move to the first topic, which is knowing your business partner in China. In this first part, I will talk briefly about challenges which come from different cultures. Second point on the agenda are the most common scams, and I will cover as well the important steps of preliminary due diligence, such as necessity of checking business license and other permits, financial and operational status. Now, a few words about myself. My name is Ludmila Hiklova, which currently I work as a legal expert in the USME Center in Beijing. I spent several years in China as the head of legal and compliance for foreign invested company, and my experience cover foreign investment, corporate law, business start, and other related law fields. So now about the cultural differences. I have chosen 3 slides from our recent webinar about negotiating with Chinese business partner, just to draw your attention that finding the right Chinese business partner is not only about the due diligence, that it has a lot to do with the different cultures. The slide which you see now was prepared, or is based on the Harvard Business Review, and it shows it shows the different basic cultural values and ways of the thinking between European and the Chinese. So European are more individualists, while Chinese are collectivists. It is generally no. Europeans are used to think in the sequential mode, while Chinese people are more about the Silk Road. European tend to seek truth, while the Chinese people are more interested about seeking the way. When we are into the negotiation or the discussions, European or Western-based cultures mostly focused on the arguments, while in Chinese environment it is more popular to bargain. How it influences negotiation process? While in most cases Western culture-based people are used to have a quick meetings, Chinese people focus more on the long courting process. One point from the information exchange. European people are used to give first proposals. When you come to China, you will need to adapt your way of the negotiation, and you need to explain first, not come with the proposals. Means of persuasion. We very much depends on the sometimes aggressive argumenting, while in the Chinese environment they are more focused on the questioning. So all these basic differences will influence the way how you will find a business partner and what obstacles you will meet on the way. Here on this slide you see some best practices which we put together. You shall not expect only one way providing the services or the kindness. You shall focus on the reciprocity. It's essential. When you will be looking for the business partner, the best way how to seek the business partner is through the intermediary. But make sure that you find the right ones. Be careful about the broken promises, display of anger or the aggression, because it causes mutual loss of faith, which is definitely disastrous to any form of business relationship for the future. So these 3 slides were just to remind and draw your attention that searching and finding the right business partner is about culture as well. Now, how we go to the more legal part and to the experience which USME Center has when dealing with the different types of the inquiries. We put together common scams. But before I go to the description of the common scams, let me state at the beginning that the majority of the Chinese companies are honest and willing to develop sustainable business. However, there are a lot of, unfortunately, very proactive companies which are specifically seeking unexperienced foreign companies, and they try to make a, let's say, business, even if it's not the business in a true sense, which finish at the end of the fraud. So when it happens, you may meet some of those type of the companies. We categorized them into the fake companies, which basically means that the potential partner may not exist at all, which means that you are by email contacted by someone who claims that they have a company, but in fact there is no company behind them. Other type of the companies are parasite companies. This type of company is the potential partner may rely too heavily on its relationship with local government officials, but in fact they are operating in legal gray area, and when their relationship with the local government officials is broken, then the whole business is endangered. Third type of the problematic partners are paper tigers. This type of the company we define like that the potential partner may promote itself as a leading company in its industry, but in fact it's nothing just an imposter. Very similar to this is the shell companies. The potential partner may possess all the required registration, but at the end of the day you find out that they don't have any significant assets or of active business records. Now to the promised scams. Here is one of the very often scenario which is very often related to the exporting from China, but doesn't mean that you will not meet similar cases inside China as well. How the scenario looks like. Foreign company gets unsolicited email from Chinese company offering to supply goods for a very low price. Foreign company asks for samples. Samples are of a good quality. One company is very happy and very eager to conclude the contract, pays money in advance. Goods is delivered, unfortunately, of very poor quality or different kind of the goods, and then Chinese partner vanishes. Another type of the scam we call fixer. It starts very similarly. Foreign company gets unsolicited email, is invited come to China, e.g. to sign, for example, to sign contracts at the signing ceremony. Then Chinese or representative of the Chinese company tells foreign company that it must pay money, for example, for expensive dinner with officials to speed the process, or some kind of administrative fee or taxes. Very popular recently are the notary fees. Foreign company, because they are eager to conclude the contract and proceed with the business, pays, and at the end of the day the business is not concluded and Chinese company vanishes. Last one we call bank account. Relationship is formed either via the internet or during the international fair. You think that you are talking with the true representative of the legitimate Chinese company. Therefore, the foreign company decides to buy goods, to buy products, export from China, and often very large order is placed because you believe that a good relationship has been created. Then the representative or so-called representative tells you to send payment to non-company account, to some individual account. There might be different reasons for this, like, for example, tax reasons. You send money, and then no goods is received, and representative vanishes. You try to trace the Chinese company, you will find out the Chinese company, and then they make claim, honestly declares there was no communication between this Chinese company and you. The reason for this behavior is that the representative or sole representative misused name and the business license of this Chinese company. So how to minimize the risk that you encounter such situations, such so-called representatives and anonymous Chinese company? There is a solution which we call preliminary due diligence. When we call about the preliminary due diligence on the business partner, it's not only about on the buyer or the seller. There are various types of the business partners. It can be your agent, it can be your joint venture partner. In such case, of course, the preliminary due diligence is not sufficient, so you have to do more detailed due diligence. It can be a distributor or the potential buyer. It can be manufacturer, even your employee or the landlord for your office. So all those are your potential business partners, and it's important and healthy for your future business to conduct a due diligence on them. There is quite a lot what is available in China to verify their legal status and their financial status. On the first line, I will mention business license, which I will spend a few slides later on. In addition to the business license, there are special permits, land use rights, right to use premises, IPR ownership certificates, which you will hear in the second part of today's webinar. There is a company chart, and on the financial status, very helpful creditworthiness letter, financial statements, capital verification report, bank account details. So all those documents or the informations are available, are accessible. You just need to pay attention to find them and verify that they are true one. When I will be talking about the business license, usually this is what is called large business license, and it is hangs somewhere on the wall in the premises of a company. So when you will be asking for the business license, you will probably not find this one. Your potential business partner will send you a scan of a document which will look like more or less like this one. We have prepared a translation with some of the information or all of the informations which are on the previous slides. Why the business license is so important? It is basically the birth certificate of the company. It's a certificate of the incorporation certifying that the company legally exists. There are a lot of very useful information on it. I will mention only a few of them, 4 of them, which are in the red. First one is the name. Chinese companies, which means companies registered in China, according to the Chinese law, have official name in the Chinese language, in the characters. So when you are going to sign a contract with such a company or you receive the purchase order, please pay attention that there is a full name in a Chinese language, and that this name is consistent with the characters on the business license you asked for. We had quite a few cases where for example, due diligence was conducted on a company, let's say A, and later on the contract was concluded with company B, which has very similar name. Even the characters were almost same, but in fact it was a different company. Then it is very difficult to find, when it comes to the dispute settlement, to succeed in such litigation or arbitration. Then the second item on the business license I would like to mention is legal representative. A legal representative is the only person who is authorized to act on behalf of the company. It is based on the law, and it is the only one who signs. It's not the only one who signs the contract, but who is entitled from the law, by the law, sign the contract and act on the company towards the third people. Scope of the business. This is very important information because, for example, if you are going to import your products to China and you are looking for the importer, then you need to be sure that this importer has corresponding business license and has corresponding scope of the business. So if you ask for the business license, you check the business scope, which will look like what you see on the screen. Means commercial consultancy, corporate management consultancy, but nothing about the foreign trade. Then it's not importer, and it's something like an intermediary maybe, and will not be able to help you to import directly your products to China. Last item on the business license I would like to talk about is annual inspection. Basically, annual inspection is a check which takes place every year between March and July, August respectively. And during this annual inspection, various authorities, Administration of Industry and Commerce, tax and others, checking financial statements, checking tax duties, checking all the permits, and at the end of the day confirming by the seal, which you can see here on the smaller one, the almost invisible one. So by this seal, they confirm that everything is okay, that the company is, from the administrative point of view, healthy. So, for example, this year it's 2013, and it's almost end of the August. So every company shall have on its business license seal of the administration or the location when they are registered that they passed annual inspection. If the seal is missing, there is something wrong, and you may ask your potential business partner what's going on. So now question, where to find the business license? Because when you are based in Europe, you probably ask your potential business partner in China to send you the scan, but then you need to verify. One of the questions is how to verify that the scan you received is the true business license of existing company. So it can be verified via the few modes. First, it can be checked in the Administration of Industry and Commerce websites. And secondly, which is recommended, if you have that opportunity to check at the local Administration of Industry and Commerce branch where the company is registered. Unfortunately, not everybody can go there and check it for himself. It has to be only the Chinese licensed lawyer which has to present the reason why they are going to check such inquire such information. In this point, I would like to mention as well that the USME Center can help in some extent. So one of our services currently which we provide is that if you send us the business license, we can check on the websites some basic information, which might be something like the beginning for your preliminary check. Here is the slide with the website of Hebei Administration of Industry and Commerce. You see that naturally all information, all the details are in the Chinese language, so you need to have someone who can speak Chinese and who can understand. But as I said, USME Center can help in extent in some way to you. Here in this point, I would like to give a little bit of break to the slides, and we'll launch the first poll And the question I would like to ask you, what makes a contract to be effective in China? It's not the test, it's just our curiosity to know, what do you think, what makes the contract valid? So please, you have seen the 3 options. First one is signature of a salesperson. Second option is signature of the legal person. And the third option is a company stamp. I probably make your choice easy because I showed one of the slides a little bit earlier than I meant. So I see that most of you are replying the company stamp. Okay, I'm closing now the poll, and we'll share with you the results. 85% of you thinks that the company stamp is the most important, what to make the contract valid, while signature of the legal representative for this option only 15% votes. Yes, I mean, what we always suggest is when you sign the contract, but not only the contract, other documents as well, ask your potential business partner to affix the company stamp. But there are other options as well. If in the contract you agree that contract will be effective upon signature of the legal representative, that's enough. That's sufficient for the contract to be valid. But the most the safest way is affix the company stamp. So if I move to the next slide about the company stamp, how the company stamp looks like. There are a few rules. First, Chinese name shall be, as you can see in the sample, and please pay attention that Chinese name on this stamp is the same as on the business license, bank account identification, purchase order, any other document. Then in the middle of the stamp is that 5-pointed star, and in red ink there are some rules about the size and how to check that the stamp is real one. The safest way is to check with the competent public security bureau, which means that every company stamp has to be registered at the public security bureau. In addition to the business license, there are a lot of other mandatory documents, like, for example, ownership certificate for landlord of your office. So when you are going to open, for example, a rep office or the FUFI here in China, make sure that you are opening office in premises which are meant to be used for the commercial purposes. And you will find this information from the ownership certificate. If you are going to export to China some products and you need to find a distributor and your product, it happens it's a food or beverage, make sure that this distributor had a special permit for distribution of the food. And of course, there are many other. Now, very quickly about the information on financial status. The best way is to ask your business partner on providing creditworthiness letter. If possible, ask for this letter for your company as well as its shareholder. This creditworthiness letter is issued based on the request of the partner and is issued by the bank where the partner has the account. Capital verification report, financial statements and audit reports can be obtained either directly from the business partner, but it's very unusual that you would receive it beforehand and during the first round of the negotiation. So the other option is to go to the Administration of Industry and Commerce of course, you have to ask the Chinese lawyer. Not everybody, as I said before, can go and check with the archives at the AIC. There is as well option to check the credit history. In 2008, I think the Chinese Central Bank launched Credit Reference Center, which keeps databases and information on debtors, on the company's debtors. Now, a few words about the company operations, which are almost the same important as the legal and the financial due diligence. We always advise, and this is the safest way, if you want to make a deal, to conclude, to have a business here with a Chinese partner, the best way is to come to China and see it on your own eyes, which means pay visit at the company premises and go a few times, sometimes unannounced. When you are at the place, have a look on the organization, cleanliness, about be interested about the employee condition, about the location. Is the location somewhere in the suburb? Is it in the industrial zone, or is it a residential area? All these information will give you some details necessary for the due diligence. Talk with the employees, talk to suppliers, neighbors, and competitors. Try to talk with as many people as possible. Try to get some references. For example, from you may ask your embassies, or you may ask associations or the chambers of commerce. Quick tips. If it is too smooth, too fast, considerably cheap than the market average, be careful and consider not to engage. Again, mentioning about the bank account, there is no reason why you shall pay on the individual account. If it is a company, they have to have a bank account. Notice the websites. Are the websites only in English language? That is suspicious. If it is a Chinese company, they have Chinese websites and in addition to that, an English one. If you have at your disposal a fixed phone line, try call a few times. As well, pay attention to the communication style and the contact person. Is it changing? Has someone during the course of the communication told you, oh, I'm sorry, we have changed the account, so from now on, please do not pay to the account which we have in the contract, by pay on another account? That's suspicious. You need to verify. And the last slide. Do not take company self-interaction at the face value. Pay attention to the company's paperwork. Always ask yourself, is this too good to be true? Keep make a personal visit and keep continuous contact. Do not rush, and ideally have a trusted person in the spot. And as well, the due diligence at the beginning is important, but as well during the whole business, keep close attention to its recent situation. And of course, local professional advice. If you are interested about content of this presentation, it can be downloaded on our website. As well, you can download this Knowing Your Partners in China. So now to the very interesting topic, IP issues related to conducting due diligence on Chinese company, which is organized by China IPR SME Helpdesk. And I would like to warmly welcome our today's speaker for this part, who is Mr. He Ting. Welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. He Ting is currently practicing law at Beijing-based law firm Antie, and he has been counseling well-known international brands and leading technology companies, international associations on intellectual property, regulatory and policy matters for nearly 14 years. The cases he represented were among cases precedents, and they were recognized by the Supreme People's Court in China. Mr. He Ting practice covers a wide range of IP and regulatory matters, including patent litigation, IP enforcement, commercial IP, and policy consultation. So I now give the floor to Mr. Herting, whom we welcome.
Thank you, Ludmila. And it's really a great pleasure to be here to speak to our friends from Europe and in China about the IP issues. So today my focus would be on the IP-related due diligence in China. So we understand that intellectual property itself is quite like specialized knowledge. And it's also very, very important to the cross-border business, no matter you are a big company or smaller companies doing business in China. So today we're hoping that we can dismiss some sort of mysterious about the IP due diligence in China, and also lay out some of the typical items you may want to take a look in the IP area when you do business with your Chinese business partners. And we also present some sort of the alerting signs which you think probably worth some of special attention. And then we'll give you some summary, what's the key message. So now before we move on, in fact we have a poll for you. This is not really a question, just sort of give an idea that we can know that what you're interested in, why you may be interested in doing the due diligence in China about IP.
Yeah, and so our poll, the question to our poll is, why would you plan, or do you plan conduct a due diligence on a Chinese company? And you can see a few options. So first of them is I would conduct due diligence because I'm interested in acquiring a company's IP assets, or I plan to license in my company's IP, or I want to use my company's IP assets to obtain financial loans, or the other. So I can see the votes coming. Currently, it looks like that, except the option other, the most voted, most chosen option is I plan to license in my company. So I'm closing, sharing with you the results. So 31% of you would conduct a due diligence to plan the license in your company's IP, because they plan to license in. Then followed by interested in acquiring. So what do you think? What, according to your experience, would you wish to comment on the polls?
Well, this is great. In fact, this is actually probably quite consistent with what's in the reality. In fact, one of the categories we probably could have put it in is that probably you're interested doing IP due diligence because you want to conduct some joint collaboration or R&D in China with the Chinese business partners. That you probably want to know, hey, what they are doing with IP, or what they could be doing with your IP. So there are all kinds of issues that could be arising from the intellectual property. So we actually were going to touch on that in our presentation. Now, before we go into what you need to do, I want to say something like what's so special about due diligence in China. Okay. Firstly, I would like to say, hey, it's actually maybe easier than what you think. Okay. In China, whether you know the system or not, in fact, over the past 20 years, China has done really a lot about the IP system. Okay, even though there are still a big gap from sort of the mature or the best practice, the government has spent a lot of resources in building a database about company registration, which Mia just showed you, and there are trademark database, there are patent database, which are widely accessible for free, and in fact, you don't even need to hire a professional to do it. If you have someone with some basic legal knowledge and also can read the Chinese, you can do some basic check yourself. And there are also some other public information about the company backgrounds, about the transaction history, about litigations the Chinese partners have been involved. China has a a lot of very popular search engines. There are a lot of social media. There are plenty of information available on the internet at least. So spend some time, invest some effort to take a look. In fact, you'll be very surprised how much really useful information are out there waiting for you. So that's the first thing I want to say. Now, it is China, right? It has its own complexities. Okay, there are some things that you really need to worry about, as Ludmila has shown you on the more like the commercial side. Now, I just highlight a couple of things here without trying to be exhaustive. For example, you have to be known, hey, who is really the actual controller. Now, what do we mean actual controller? Right? A company has shareholders, legal representatives, company officers. Who are the actual controller we're talking about? So this is touching into some complexities in China. Sometimes like a government employee, government official, they somehow control a company which they let their relatives run. Okay, and there's some people for whatever sensitive reason they don't want to show their real identity. They're more like behind the scene. They use contracts or some other ways to control a company which you don't really know. So you have to be really sensitive, who is this actual controller. So how do you know that? In fact, maybe the person who you're dealing with may hint or imply there are some very powerful people behind. So that's the part that you gotta be aware. Okay, we don't say, hey, we're not asking you not to do business with those people, but you have to be smart about it. And another thing is you gotta be really. Another thing is sometimes you gotta be watch out. Hey, who are the key employees of the Chinese business partners? If you are getting serious consideration, serious plan to do a joint R&D with those people, especially when the Chinese business partner tell you, hey, we got a great IP, we have some very important patent rights, we got this wonderful wonderful employees, have a great talent, and do very cutting edge research. Now, in the back of your mind, you got to be thinking about, what the background of those smart scientists or technology engineers. Were they working for state-owned companies or universities? This comes down to who really own those IP rights that the Chinese companies claim to have. Okay, we're going to touch a bit more about it later on, but you need to think about it. And another thing is that obviously, do they really register all their IPs? What if they register the IP under some other people's name? In fact, it's very interesting. A lot of the Chinese companies register the IP under the name of the boss, other like number one boss. Okay, the actual controller. They don't put that IP under the company's name. Okay, so you gotta be aware of that. So this is the kind of complexity. Just to give you some examples.
Yeah. Mr. Hai, it appears that the companies may run into some complicated situations. So how can we deal with it? What if the Chinese business partners do not cooperate? What to do then?
Well, first thing is that you got to be aware of that. The potential issues. Okay, when you really listen for it, as I said, you probably can have a sense. Who's behind, whether there's something you got to be aware of. You may not be able to find out all the truths, okay? It does not mean you cannot do business, but you just have to be really aware of. That's the first thing. The second thing is you need to communicate, okay? If you really care about what kind of IPs they have, or whether especially if you're concerned whether there may be some risk about your own IP in terms of whether you're going to lose your trade secrets, you probably have to be honest and frank at the very beginning and telling the other sides you really need to carry out some IP due diligence. You have to see, for example, some kind of contracts that the other side have signed with their employees, whether they have the right paperwork in place. So you have to ask for that, but you have to do it in appropriate sense, without causing suspicion or without, upset people, obviously. if it makes business sense, we think if the Chinese business partner really wanted to do business with you, they will I think they will eventually come down and willing to work with you. But if they're very unreasonable, hiding stuff, that's probably alerting signs. That's probably good news for you, not to do business with them.
Thank you.
So let's move to what are the sort of typical items that we recommend you to look into. Obviously, you got to really look into, the sort of the IP, what kind of typical IPs, right, have been registered. We're going to say a little bit more about that. Whether the companies have any government awards. Do they have sort of high-tech enterprise qualification? The government actually issue all kinds of qualifications to the enterprise. What are the useful ones you got to be aware of? And again, we highlight the employment history of the key engineers, especially when you are seriously trying to do some technology development work with your Chinese business partners. That's where you got to really know more about the key engineers that your Chinese business partner have hired. And another thing you want to look into is the IP licenses that the potential partners have had, okay, with others. Especially when you are trying to do R&D work with them, when you think about doing some IP licenses with the partners, you probably really need to ask about it. And again, lastly, we'll touch about the alerting signs. So in terms of IP status, this is relatively common sense, okay, to people. But we just want to highlight to you that China, again, they have all the they have a relatively comprehensive system in terms of trademarks, patents, copyright. So you want to check whether your Chinese business partners have the right trademarks, and whether those trademarks are renewed, any pending applications, any pending oppositions or cancellations, okay? You want to check the patent registration of your Chinese business partners, the invention patent, do they have an invention patent, utility model patents, designs, plant varieties, okay, if you are in the relevant area. Again, are those patents still valid? Did the companies pay all their annuities? In fact, this could be a problem. According to some statistics, the rate of abandoning patents is quite high in China. Okay, one of the reasons is lots of Chinese companies were subsidized by the Chinese government to file patents. So they have some incentive to file patents, but when they realize, wow, it's quite expensive to maintain patents, they actually patent abandoned. So this is something you got to be aware of. It does not necessarily mean it's very important to your business. Okay, but if you want to know what's going on with the other side, you want to check. Okay, that's also a sign whether the other side is sort of IP savvy or not. And one more thing is the copyright registration. Copyright registration is not necessary in China, but we see more and more companies are registering their copyright in China these days.
So, when talking about the copyright registration, do you think that it is necessary to register, for example, computer software, or is there any harm for not registering the software?
Well, this is a good question. Again, it does not really affect your ownership of copyright, even if you do not register. But if you are thinking about the possibility of a piracy, if especially someone gonna parody your content in China, you probably want to register, at least some of them. We recently represent some of the online companies, online game companies from Europe. They are seeing some of the Chinese, it's not business partners, but the other Chinese competitors, actually big ones, are copying the designs. So before our client is thinking about launching a big litigation that goes through the dispute resolution, they basically really need to register their copyright. It does not mean without a registration they cannot protect the copyright. But if you have a copyright registration for your software or for your online games in China, that will make it much easier for you to prove your right in the Chinese court. So it could be helpful if you think you are facing some potential risk of piracy. Now, let's continue. In terms of due diligence, there are some government awards you may want to take a look. In fact, maybe your Chinese business partner will show off them to you. Okay, they're all kinds of awards, but sometimes these awards are not really worth that much. However, if someone gets this talent awards, you probably want to take a look, because Chinese government these days are launching all kind of program to attract the overseas returnees back to China. Normally, those are very top performing engineers or scientists, so they give them all kinds of titles. So if you be a Chinese business partner, indeed have some of those people, this could be a good sign. Okay, so you probably want to double check whether to have those kind of talent awards. One more thing about high-tech enterprise qualification. This was very popular for a while. Even as of today, a lot of Chinese companies are trying to get those kind of high-tech enterprise qualification. The bigger reason is that whoever got the qualification have some tax benefits. Okay, the local cities grant this kind of qualification, but they can be renewable. They need to be applied, and they got to be maintained. So you probably want to double check. Don't just take face value by the Chinese business partners claim, oh, we are high-tech enterprise. So you got to take a look at the certificate and what they, when they get it, how they get it. If possible, even you should ask for the original application materials to take a look what's really in there. Okay. And now, this slide is about the employment history of key engineers. We sort of touched on that at the very beginning. Now, this is, could be relevant to the ownership of the patents that your Chinese partners, engineers, claim to have invented. Okay, if the employee, the key engineers, work for the state-owned companies, and they're we have seen many cases. In fact, those people take or bring the technical invention over to the new employer, or they even contribute as equity, okay, to the enterprise. And now the problem is that give you a potential issues down the road. Okay, especially if you're thinking about doing some merger acquisition, buying up the Chinese partners, which look very promising. But just consider, what if the ex-employer could be a very powerful state-owned company or very powerful university asking for the ownership? That will make the things quite difficult. And there are some cases like that. It took a lot of effort for the local companies to clean that up. Again, if in a much worse situation, you may put yourself into some kind of a trade secrets charges. The employer, which may be a fierce competitor in the marketplace, they may be terribly unhappy that the ex-employee are now working with you and your Chinese business partner. So the trade secrets issue. So you got to be aware of that. We actually seeing an increasing number of trade secret cases in China. By the way, the trade secret infringement can lead to criminal liability. So another thing you want to check is the licenses. This is actually probably particularly important if you are thinking of doing cross-border joint development cases with Chinese business partners. So you may want to check whether the Chinese business partners have been entered license as the licensors, licensees. They may not be willing to let you to review all the licenses, but you got to ask whether it's something relevant. Okay, if they have done joint R&D contracts, and whether they have any IP clauses regarding joint collaboration, ownership of improvements. You should ask for those things, especially if the Chinese business partner are working on the same kind of technology with other people. So you need to let them know what kind of licensing, what are the incumbent licenses they are under. All right. And sometimes the Chinese business partner have already, in some kind of IP terms, already include IP terms in the sales contracts. So you got to be aware, at least you got, again, especially for the same technology, same product, you got to know what kind of licenses the company have taken in, or what kind of license have they given out.
I would like to, in this point, just note that the IPR SME Helpdesk has a guide on IPR licensing for R&D, which was written by you, right? So I suggest and recommend our audience to read it.
Now, we want to talk about some alerting signs. Okay, this could be probably the most important point for my presentation. Now, many of you are probably aware of there are lots of people in China we call the trademark squatters. Okay, they basically apply, they register the other people's trademarks, and take the trying to claim the ownership. In fact, we found lots of smaller European companies are the victims of this kind of activities. Now, you probably want to be aware. You want to be careful whether your Chinese business partner, as a sort of entity, whether they have any kind of a history like that. It's actually very simple to do. Just roll out and check what kind of trademarks have been registered by your Chinese business partner or the key people. Okay, have they registered any trademarks that appear like other famous marks? Another thing you want to be checking is the patents. What we have been seeing on the ground is that a lot of Chinese companies, small or big ones, they've been registering lots of utility model patents, which are granted without substantive examination, or design patents. Okay, they're easy to get. You can get that in 1 year with not much money. And the way they do it, they basically copy other designs, copy other technology, especially copy the Western and business partners' technology, and claim is their and want to have a patents for those technology, at least on the paper. So you really want to make sure, want to check whether your Chinese business partner have done those, okay? And you want to double check through the public search and identify what is there. And you want to identify what's the pattern of the findings. That may tell you a lot about the credibility or the way your Chinese business partners have been dealing with the IP issues.
So it looks like very complicated and sometimes even dangerous. So do you suggest that European companies should stop working with these Chinese partners if they indeed register many patents that they are copied from others?
Well, that's a very hard thing to say. In fact, what's very funny is we say there are two versions of these kind of people. One is probably like a vicious ones. Okay, they are really trying to take advantage of the unsophisticated Western companies. Right, when they learn something from Western companies, they quickly copy it and then file for patents. And if that's true, you probably want to stay away from them. Okay. But also there's another we call benign version, all right? Those people, they are smart and they want to file the patents, so they look good on paper. So they can use that to apply for the high-tech enterprise qualification in order to get the tax benefits. They may not want to use those things to shut you down out of the China market, okay? That's what we know. You probably still don't like, I'm pretty sure you don't like this kind of people either, but they may not be are in those kind of bad faith, all right? So if they are in those kind of category, then if you still want to work with them for business reasons, then you really got to be careful and you got to really do the right work and communicate in the right way. So you have set out all the necessary documents with the other side, so make sure they don't touch your stuff, okay? So again, this is a big decision you got to make for legal and business reasons. Mm-hmm. So here we have one quick case study, which is actually corresponds to what we just said. Okay, we use example like a water treatment company. Let's say your Chinese business partner claims to have a great relationship with local governments. They can do a lot of projects and may help you sell your water treatment equipment. But the patent search reveals that this company has developed a large, patent portfolio. Okay, now what should you do? Here's some of our suggestions. you want to find out who they've been working with before in terms of other Western business partners. If this company is really indeed useful or powerful, they might have worked with some other business partners, so you might find out. And then you review the patents and find out if those patents are likely to be knockoffs or copied from those business partners, those ex-business partners of your Chinese business partner, or are they sort of true self-developed inventions? From those, you may have an idea that what this Chinese business partners is used to do when it comes to IP. If you, like what we said earlier, if you still want to work with them, and but you want to protect IP, then you got to really be very rigorous about the IP terms. You got to be very rigorous on all the confidentiality agreements, the non-disclosure agreements, non-compete clauses with your business partners. So you got to put the right things in place. Okay, so that's very critical. So that's our suggestions. Okay, so just to quick summarize, the takeaway message we really hope you will find useful is that there are really lots of IP information available in China for due diligence review. Okay, and there's we think there's a clear formula to follow in handling the due diligence, even though sometimes it can be very can be complicated. Again, when you are doing serious technology development work with Chinese business partners, you may be able to find out very valuable information about the credibility of the partners by reviewing the way and the pattern they register the IPs. So.
Thank you very much, Mr. Han, for your very much insight presentation. And we are now coming to the Q&A session. We have received during the first part and during the second part quite a lot of questions. Unfortunately, we are coming almost to the end of our webinar today. So I suggest we pick up 2 questions from each area, and the rest of the questions we will answer to you later on via the email. So for the first part on the due diligence, there was a question from you about the business license. Is business license same in China and in Hong Kong? No, China, like mainland China, is different jurisdiction from the Hong Kong. So they have separate legal system. They have separate registration, means that the business license is different as well. Then other question is how much does it cost to hire the Chinese licensed lawyer to check the business license on my company's behalf? There is a great variety of the law companies here in China. I would say that maybe the average would be somewhere around 20,000 RMB, but it will be not only for the checking the business license. There will be some other issues related to it as well. Now I give the floor to Mr. He. You have received a lot of questions as well. Which one you would like to answer?
So
now?
I can only answer one, right?
or 2.
Okay. Sure. Actually, I like all the questions. So the one question is, can you give example how to be smart about the checking background of controller? This is actually a very big question. First of all, you got to be. I'm hoping that you have a very good associate. I mean, Chinese associate that really have a good, at least the local language capability, and sort of know how to ask the right questions through other sources. Okay, and if you have good resources, you want to use some investigator. Okay, to do it, obviously. But if you cannot do all of that, but listen to that aside. Okay, in fact, now you're asking how to be smart. Maybe you should pretend to be a little bit dumb when you are asking about the background of an actual controller, and let the other side bragging. Okay, they may be proud of telling you something more. Okay, so that's a trick. Pretend to be dumb. But if you're aware of there's an actual controller, I think that will make some difference. Another question is, do I need to hire a Chinese lawyer to check registered IP of my potential Chinese business partner? Not really, okay? You could. In fact, it's not really expensive at all. As I said, it's all pretty much done on the public database. So the lawyer can do that very quickly for you. The only thing that can get a little bit deeper is, especially when it comes to patents, all right? Patents itself are technical documents. If you want to know more about what's going on with the Chinese patent filings, then you probably really need a Chinese lawyer to do that job for you. But for trademarks, pretty much straightforward. So the last question is, how can you tell who in the company actually owns a patent or other IP assets? Is there a relevant website? Well, normally the patent owner, I mean the patent, we say the patentee that are named on the patent certificate are the owner. Okay, in China, normally it's a company that owns the patent they filed. Okay, and there is a website on the Chinese patent office, www.sipo.gov.cn. So they actually have an English page for you to search, but you need to put in the English name to search the Chinese company. So again, this is pretty much straightforward. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. So here we come to the real end of our today's webinar. I would like to once again thanks to Mr. Herting from the law firm, from the Antia law firm. This webinar will be stored on the websites of USME Center and as well in China IPR SME Helpdesk. So you can later on download it anytime. You are as well encouraged to download not only this webinar but other information, publications, case studies, and so on, which might help you with your business in China. And I would like to encourage you and invite you as well for the next Tuesday webinar with the USME Center, and as well for the IPR SME Helpdesk. You will find out on their websites the topic they are preparing for the future. Thank you very much for your attention and have a good day.